The TT Esports Poseidon ZRGB. I felt like I didn't do the keyboard justice when I made my first review, so here's the second chance for redemption. I'm Rio Gion, and this is Rio Gion Keyboards. I love the minimalistic style of the board. If you turn off the lights, this keyboard can almost pass the stealth test. There are a few gamer bits, such as the logo on the spacebar, the upper right hand corner that gives this keyboard that gamer flair. Besides that, the front is clean and simple, but the layout is not, unfortunately. So it can be hard trying to find replacement keycaps for this board. I really like the tactile button that disables the Windows key. It's nice that they decided to make the lights for the caps lock, scroll lock, num lock, and Windows lock white, because it means that it's easier on the eyes when you make your lighting setups. The inclusion of white PCB makes the lights pop, which is a very nice addition to the keyboard. Also, I noticed that there are certain keys at the bottom row that are convex, while the keys on every other row is concave. This is a interesting ergonomic touch. The light is placed on top of the switch, which leads me to believe that you are hitting the lights every single time you press the keys. But I seriously hope that I am wrong. It seems like the KO RGB switches, for the most part, have a very similar design in terms of the housing where the light bulb is. I guess it's just one of those little things that you sort of pick up after looking lots of keyboards. This keyboard unfortunately uses CoStar stabilizer, but in a very non-traditional way. Instead of the typical cherry slots for the longer keys, you have a placeholder for the wire. I believe that this is a huge missed opportunity because it would be extremely difficult trying to find aftermarket keycaps that have the same placeholders for the wires. I don't know what the developers were thinking when they made this type of stabilizer, because it really seems like it would be a lot easier just to make cherry stabilizer. On the bright side, at least it's a lot easier to put the keycaps back than the traditional CoStar stabilizers. The keycaps are made with ABS plastic, but these ones seems like they are slightly thicker than the ones that you would find in the typical gaming mechanical keyboards. I noticed that there are 4 corners with circles on them, and I believe that this is the indication that it is the thicker ABS plastic. The keycaps are clean, which is nice because that means that there is more attention to details. The rubber pads on the back of the board does a really good job with keeping the board solid during heavy typing gaming sessions. Also, the flip-up feet do have rubber on them, which is a great touch because this means that the keyboard will be solid in both positions. I really like the addition of cable management slots, but I don't like how the cable is placed. The cable is placed at the top instead of at the spot where the cable management slots begin. This means that you have to force the cable back in order for it to fit the slots. If you repeatedly do this motion, it would damage the cable. Lastly, the cable is not braided, which some of you might actually like that, but I think it should be braided. because it's at a premium price point and the USB tip is silver. For the most part, the software is user friendly with the features easily locatable. At first, I thought that you were limited to 5 profiles, but the great news is that you are not. I think you can make as many profiles as you want, which is great for those that need more than just the 5 that's being set by default. Every single key is macroable, which is nice for those that like to set certain keys to do different functions. There's a reset button just in case you mess with the keyboard way too much and you just want to go back to the way things used to be. The only complaint here is that you have to press apply to apply your settings. Every single time. It gets old real fast. This is on the heavy side when it comes to the brown switches. It feels heavier than the Cherry MX Brown, and definitely heavier than the TTC Brown as on the Rootcat Sora. It feels nice to type on it and the strokes are smooth enough, but the weight really puts me off from typing on this keyboard for long durations. I really don't like the level of inconsistency that you get when buying a KO Switch keyboard. They desperately need to step up their game on the quality assurance department. The great news here is that you do get a 5-year warranty for buying this keyboard, which is awesome! And it reminds me of Hyundai because the manufacturer have the confidence in their product, so they will give the consumers long warranties to earn their trust. For the price tag of $89.99, this is a fair price for a keyboard that doesn't have Cherry MX switches. But the MX standards are dipping and the competition is getting better. It kind of makes you think when choosing this or the recently reviewed Rocket. For the same price, you could either get a keyboard that types really well or a keyboard that has more features but doesn't type as well. In terms of the gaming aspect of the board, the fact that you can macro every single key makes it nice for MMO gamers. The keys are comfortable enough to hold for a long duration, which is a good indication for FPS gamers. For RTS gamers, I would say pass, because this keyboard is on the heavy side for double tapping, but not heavy enough to the point where you don't make too many mistakes. Back in my earlier keyboard reviewing days, this keyboard was $129.99. Now being $89.99, I would recommend this keyboard for a purchase because it's nice for the most part and you get a 5-year warranty, which if something ever were to go wrong, you got 5 years. That's a long time. Now, the more I think about it, this keyboard really reminds me of buying a Hyundai and how the company has come a long way since the old days. Anyways, if you liked the video, please click on that like button and subscribe for more awesome content.